I have a shelf in my garage right now. It is a failure shelf. Failure shelves are sad, disappointing little things, but they're also necessary things. Every garage needs a failure shelf. If you don't have a garage, it's probably a closet or a drawer. A failure shelf, if made properly, is a necessary and even a good thing. And that's right, I said failure is good. And no, I'm not talking about this cliche Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. It's something else. First of all, let me tell you how I learned failure is bad. I never failed. When I was a kid, I never failed until college algebra. I didn't ask to be in college algebra. In freshman year, I was placed in honors geometry. I don't know what was so honors about honors geometry. None of my classmates did their homework. I didn't either. Our professor would go through the answers at the beginning of every period. If you copied them onto your page, you would get full credit. We'd all simply copy down the answers to the homework questions and just hope that we'd learned enough by osmosis to pass the exams. I passed that class with an A. One time my professor took me back into his office after a test and he struggled to explain to me why an extra credit answer that I had given was not good enough. Like it was the correct answer, but it wasn't the correct way to get the answer, so he wasn't going to give me extra credit, but maybe he actually ended up giving me extra credit anyways. But the most memorable thing that I remember about honors geometry class was nothing to do with shapes. One day there was this gigantic hornet, 3 inches long, and it landed right on my arm. After a few minutes of it sitting there, students started to notice. The cute girl in front of me actually noticed that I was so brave in sitting still. She quietly heralded all of the classmates around to see what was going on behind them. Stop paying attention to this boring lecture, and you gotta see what's happening to this kid behind me. But most importantly, the cute girl in front of me actually noticed me. In that moment, I had no fear of failure. Failure wasn't an option. No way was I about to let this thing with a 3-inch stinger, a 3-inch dingle longer than my very own. I can't say that. Finally, I gathered the courage to shoo the thing away. I did not get stung, and the cute girl noticed me. We never talked again. I did, however, get an A in honors geometry. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I failed college algebra. No thank you, Mr. Gotland. He was a huge man with a sweaty belly button. He was tech savvy, so all of our homework was online. He did not go over the answers at the beginning of the class period. If you wanted credit, you would actually need to go online and do the work. And let me tell you, if I was going to go online as a 15-year-old, I was not going to do homework. I was going to check MySpace to see if anyone had left any new profile comments. I never actually did get any new profile comments, but I mean, it's not like I was putting out a bunch of comment-worthy content or anything. I did one time write a short story about a mysterious purple nurple that received praise from several friends, but the point is I didn't do the homework and Mr. Gotland failed me. Who am I kidding? It's not Mr. Gotland's fault. It was my fault. Well, it's not like I wanted to fail the class. I wanted to get an A in the class. Is it really all my fault, though? I mean, I had to I had this strategy and it worked in honors geometry. I had to take the strategy all the way to the limit to see if it would work, see how far it would go. I had to see if I was invincible. I was not invincible. I can fail. It sucks to fail. It's okay to fail because there's such a thing as mercy and there's such a thing as grace. Failures go on the failure shelf. On the failure shelf right now is a chainsaw. For the past 2 days, I have been working on this chainsaw. My dad gave it to me a while ago. He thought there was something wrong with the carburetor, so he also gave me a new carburetor with it. He thought maybe I could get it to work, and if I could get it to work, then I could have it. I bought gas, oil, and starter fluid from Zanico Ace Hardware down the street from my house. I rigged this thing to a rectangle of 2x6s, ripped the cord with the starter fluid. After ripping it for a while, it began to turn over by itself, 1 or 2 times, not many, but I knew it was going to work. Working was within grasp. Having a working chainsaw for free was within my grasp. My dad thought the thing needed a new carburetor, and I was spent on trying to rip this thing to life. So I decided to change the carburetor. When I did change the carburetor, I broke 2 fuel lines to the tank, and that's it. Game over. I don't have fuel lines for this chainsaw. Maybe I could get them easily, but for now, it's a failure. Chalk it up to a failure. It's going on the failure shelf. My old chainsaw broke and I threw it away. I didn't even have a failure shelf back then. Didn't have room for something that wouldn't start. Didn't have mercy or grace. God, on the other hand, doesn't have a failure shelf. I'm not just saying that because his perfection is perfect. Maybe he does kind of have a failure shelf, but he sure doesn't call it that. After all, he made humans to worship him, but the first humans were so weak-minded that they fell for a little lie. If you break God's laws, this lie goes, then you'll be like God. Think about yourself. You gotta do what's right for you. Just be yourself. That's the lie that Adam and Eve believed when they ate the fruit. All humanity and the earth itself is cursed because they believed that lie, because of the actions that they had acted on, because of that belief, because of that failure. God didn't put humanity on the failure shelf. He put us on the redemption shelf. The truth is, there's no failure shelf at all. There's the trash can, and there's the redemption shelf. The chainsaw is on the redemption shelf. Someday, it'll be redeemed. Just like how you and I, if we believe in Christ, are already redeemed.